gonna be completely transparent with you. I feel like I'm going through a rough period in life. You start off each year feeling invigorated, rejuvenated, renewed with new motivation and incentive to get your goals accomplished and take over the world and, execute. We're in the second half of the second month of the year, and I feel tired. I feel drained, and I feel like I'm not where I could be, maybe not even where I should be. Definitely not where I could be. I asked myself what I could be doing better, what I could be focusing on and expanding upon. Well, first thing is, the one thing that I have committed singular focus towards is achieving 5% body fat. And this past weekend, 4 out of 5 days were spent in a significant caloric surplus. Really kind of fucked up my momentum. I'll just be completely honest with you. It was such a bad call. It was a bad call. And I think that probably has a lot to do with why I feel like I'm struggling, why I feel sort of low morale. I stepped on the scale today at 188.4 pounds, making me essentially a pound over the last time I got a DEXA scan, which was back in January. So on the one hand, I didn't really gain much weight from my binge eating of this past weekend, but on the other hand, I have gained 4 pounds since last week. So I guess let's say a pound for every day of binge eating, which is actually pretty incredible, all things considered, because I was eating 5,000 to 6,000 calories plus for 4 days. Now, out of the past 7 days, 4 days were in a significant surplus and 3 days were in a fast. So Thursday I started the binge and I was eating a shitload of food. Friday I fasted for 36 hours, breaking my fast on Saturday, and another binge occurred. Then Sunday I binged, Monday I binged, and today is Wednesday. I have fasted today and yesterday, which was Tuesday. So 7 days of eating, 4 days of eating, 2 days of fasting, and the result is 4-pound weight gain. And again, it just goes back to the experience that occurred last year, where it was just a habit of excessive amounts of eating and prolonged fasting of 36, 48, sometimes 72 hours to compensate for the amount of food that I was eating while consuming. And it yielded whatever results it did. When looking at photos, I look great. The lowest I got using that method of fasting and eating was 7.1% body fat. So to some extent it was effective. I just don't want to do it again. I don't want to do that method again when it comes to losing body fat and getting shredded, because it felt like a cheat. I didn't feel like I was disciplined. It didn't create the type of habits that I'm interested in implementing in my life. One thing I acknowledge about myself is that I am an extremely black and white person. I'm an all or nothing individual, and it applies to everything. All of my indulgences, all of my vices are seen through that perspective. Either I'm doing it and I'm all in, or I'm not doing it at all. Video games. If I'm playing a video game, I want to sink hours into that video game. I don't want to play it for 30 minutes, turn it off, and then do something constructive, or vice versa. If I'm eating food, let me eat to the point of fucking death. Let me extend my stomach past the point of feeling full. And other vices like sex, it's like I don't want to just have sex. I want to have life-ending sex. I want to have earth-shattering experiences. I want to have sex for hours and hours. I want to be sweating. I want to be knocking on death's door. And again, it's like that for everything. So the habit that I had developed last year with that consistent prolonged fasting of 36 or 48 hours, and then binge eating, and then doing the whole process over again, and still seeing results of weight loss and fat loss. The reason I'm not interested in doing that again is because I don't feel like I learned anything. I don't think I created new neural pathways in my mind in relation to this all or nothing perspective. I don't see the longevity of living like this. I feel that there is more gray area in this world, that in the pursuit of this whole black and white kind of experience, I think I'm limiting myself. Which is why the desire for discipline and flexibility is important to me. But it's difficult. Changing this about myself is not easy. It doesn't come naturally to me. And so there are moments where I slip and I have a binge that lasted 4 days. I am not happy about it. I'm not happy about it because the thing is, I can't quit on this goal. So the longer I'm pursuing it, the longer I'm suffering, and there's no other way of describing it. I'm suffering to stay in this caloric deficit, to stay on this pursuit of 5% is a trial. It is a journey that is uncomfortable, and I am prolonging it with the decisions that I am making. All because I don't want to fail. I don't care what anyone says. It's about finishing what you start. 188 pounds. Finishing what you start. I got a full year ahead of me, and this is the first hurdle that I have to jump. I have to get over. Then it's more focus on client retention with my health and wellness consulting service, content creation, that will promote my service, that will promote my art and my podcast series, networking, growing my audience, growing a following, and making sure that I can be proud of the performance that I'm doing at my job. Being a good father, preparing for the next chapter of my son's life. All of these things yet to accomplish and master. Because I'm stuck here, and I'm gonna be stuck for a second. I have to finish this before I can move on. Alright, well, that's what's happening in my life. 48-hour fast. I think I'm going to... I don't even know what to do so far as what strategy I want to implement to get to 5%, because I failed with keeping it down to 1,700 calories a day. I failed. So I think 2 nights ago I mentioned how I was going to go up to 1,850 as my caloric budget, which technically should still be in a deficit. And if I continue to focus on my NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, basically being as active as possible throughout the day, I can keep my calorie expenditure up. Again, the whole philosophy is calories in, calories out. The more calories you burn in comparison to how many calories you consume, you will continue to lose weight, preferably fat. So if I bump up my calorie intake to 1,850 and I continue to focus on being as active as possible each day, then the theory is that I will experience less impulse to break my diet while still continuing to lose fat consistently. Yes, I will lose weight slower than if I was in a 1,700 calorie deficit, but there's also evidence to support that if I were to operate on a greater deficit, then my metabolism might adapt quicker and burn less calories at that greater deficit than I would prefer. It gets so fucking nuanced. It really is crazy. But the beauty of life is that if you focus in on anything, then the amount of details, the amount of specifics that occur just from finally focusing, you can talk about anything for hours. You can write books, encyclopedias, volumes, You can write volumes on one topic such as tree leaves. Right now there is an expert in this world who has written a 300-page book on tree leaves. You can be an expert in anything. You can be a master at anything. The thing I have chose mastery over is myself. My discipline expressed through my aesthetic physique. God damn, did I pick the wrong thing to fucking express myself through. I love to eat food, and it's completely contradictory to the goal that I have set out for myself. But maybe that's the whole beauty of this whole project. Alright, well, typically the way that it works for me is I'm feeling low, and then I figure out some way to fucking put a pep in my step. And it's all mental. Personally, I like being happy over sad. But when I am sad, I acknowledge it. And I'll hang my head for a day or two. And the sun will come out, figuratively or literally. And I'll smile again. So, whether it be tomorrow or the day after, the sun will come out. My momentum will pick back up. And I will continue on this journey.